What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, and as you can see, the Predator is back again, sort of. This is the Champagne Pack Adidas Predator Mania Remake. Extremely limited. They sold out pretty much the instant that they released everywhere that they did release. So if you're looking to get a pair still, you're gonna have to buy them in the resale market and pay some pretty crazy marked up prices. But nonetheless, this is a very, very cool shoe. One, because it looks like a Predator Mania. Two, because it is actually a pretty good shoe this time around, unlike the last Predator Mania remake we got in 2014 with the Predator Instinct bottom. And that's not to say that those were bad, but these are definitely a lot better. And I'm gonna tell you why in today's video. So if you wanna learn more about this shoe in general, I'm gonna talk about it. We'll cover everything you need to know. Included with these shoes, if you are wondering, they come in a special limited edition white drawer style box, as you find with pretty much anything limited from Adidas these days. And it also does come in with a special white bag as well, again, as part of the limited collection. Also, the original retail price on these guys, $330 US, so they weren't cheap to begin with. And again, if you want to get a pair, resale prices are around $500-600 right now, based on what I just saw a couple of hours ago before making this video. Nonetheless, this is a cool shoe because obviously it's a remake of the Predator Mania, which is to a lot of people the best Predator ever made. And since then, obviously Adidas has killed off the Predator line and bringing it back right now for the first time in the form of a limited edition release. So is it really back? No, not necessarily. Nonetheless, this is of course in the Champagne Pack colorway, which was made famous in the 2002 World Cup. It was worn by David Beckham, amongst many other professionals, but with the release of this particular shoe, they kind of made David Beckham the main face of it, which I think is a pretty cool idea. He's obviously a very popular guy, and they actually ended up releasing the shoe on his birthday, 15 years after the initial release of the 2002 original Predator Mania. So pretty cool idea, and I hope we see a lot more of this from Adidas in the future, maybe even to as a general release type thing as opposed to a limited thing, because obviously a lot of people wanted these but weren't necessarily able to get them. Speaking of how limited these things actually are, there's no specific numbers out there. Some people are rumoring 2,500 pairs total. I think it's probably a little bit more than that, but again, there's high demand for stuff like this with any limited edition boot. So a lot of people are trying to get them because they really want them, and a lot of people are trying to get them because they want to resell them as well. So unfortunately, with limited stuff, not everybody's going to get a pair, but it definitely did bring a lot of attention to the Adidas brand, which is the main reason why they release these things in limited capacities as opposed to making it a general release. If everyone's able to get them, it's not quite as cool. So that's kind of the main reasoning for limited releases in the first place. Nonetheless, the shoe is pretty cool. It's obviously in the champagne colorway. So you have this kind of champagne, very light gold tinge to the upper. It's kind of like an off-white. Same thing goes for the sole plate. It's got the very distinctive red tongue, which the tongue this time around, unlike the 2014 remake, is actually made from real leather, which is really nice. It makes the shoe look a lot more premium. It makes the tongue look the way it's supposed to look versus the synthetic tongue we saw on the 2014 variation. And it also makes me a little bit mad because why didn't they just make the whole upper leather as well? Because as you can pretty clearly see, the upper is not leather. It's made from a synthetic material, but does maintain the same kind of stitching lines in the form of just embossings to give it the look of the actual Predator Mania. So red tongue, champagne color upper and sole plate, the red tips to the studs. You can see the very distinctive Adidas stripes on the lateral side that flow into the base of the sole, black in color, although these stripes are actually reflective, which is an extra little detail they threw in. The embroidered Adidas logo there on the top of the tongue, and also the embroidered Adidas logo on the underside of the tongue, which is a nice little extra detail as well. Black laces, and of course the black Predator elements, along with the very distinctive 3 stripes running down the back of the heel that look a little bit goofy, but they kind of looked a little bit goofy on the original Predator Mania as well. And then translucent studs that are kind of more pink than they are red, but I think you get the idea. So overall, it definitely does look the part. Does that mean this is just as good as a regular Predator Mania? No, absolutely not. This is not to be compared with the original in my opinion. I still think the original is a better shoe. It's the one that I would personally rather wear based on what it has on offer, a completely different upper, a completely different sole plate. It's pretty much completely different every way that you look at it. Nonetheless, what we got here in the form of this remake is a legitimately good shoe, and it makes me wonder if we are going to see perhaps a general release of this particular shoe. It's interesting that people are this hyped up about 15-year-old technology in the form of a modern platform, because obviously there's a lot of hype with the Adidas brand around new designs and stuff like that, stuff like the Pure Control, stuff like the Pure Chaos, stuff that looks a little bit more out there. But it's really, really interesting that people are just as interested in stuff that's 15 years old, modernized a little bit. So again, I'd be really curious to see how something like this would do as a general release. Would it sell just as well as it has in a limited capacity? I'm not really sure of that, but I would really like to see this, because I think as this boot sits, if it was a general release, if this was a new line from Adidas, it would be my personal favorite, because I think these are actually very, very good. So with the upper, what you're getting here is very similar to that 2014 remake. It is basically a hybrid touch type material, so a synthetic leather basically, and then it's got some nice padding to it. So you can see all the little lines you see running through where the stitching would normally be for the kangaroo leather of the original. It's just more heavily padded and then thinner where you see the embossed areas. You even have the Adidas logo right there on the medial side, which is a signature of the Predator Mania, and it has a thin but slightly padded feel to it. It's not overly thin, it's not overly thick, it doesn't really feel like kangaroo leather. If I were to compare it to a shoe out there right now, it reminds me a little bit of the Kangolite material you'll find on the current Opus 2 version 2, but different from that. I would say that feels a little bit softer to me. But again, these feel very, very good. No complaints in regards to the material of the upper, although I really would have loved to have seen it be actual leather. That would have made this thing 100% cooler. Nonetheless, the tongue, obviously a very key characteristic for the Predator Mania. They did make this out of leather, which looks great, it feels great, doesn't really serve any kind of performance purpose, but it definitely does look very cool. And the entire tongue is leather, not just the flap. They did the embroidery, and it does have, of course, the elasticated strap as well that allows you to basically put the tongue down, cover up the laces, and give you that classic Predator look, which is really, really nice. The laces are, of course, off-centered as well. If you didn't know, that's how the Predator Mania was. That's how they did it on the remake. As far as the Predator element is concerned, the striking element, you can see it right here on the medial side of the shoe. It does look exactly like what you would find on the original, although as opposed to being kind of in the upper, cut around the leather, they just have it glued on top of the synthetic surface. So it's a little bit different, but pretty much serves the exact same purpose. It's got a nice grippiness to it, so on the ball, it will have pretty much the same effect as the original Predator Mania, just without the same padded feel. These will feel a little bit more pingy, but still really, really interesting. And again, a style of shoe that has kind of fallen out of favor from brands like Nike and Adidas. It's partially why Adidas killed the Predator line. Nike has since killed the T90 line as well. Shoes are trending towards being thinner and lighter versus kind of bulkier with big rubber elements and thicker in general, which is kind of what the Predator era was all about. It's what made that shoe so popular. And of course, Adidas changed that. I've got my theories as to why the Predator was killed. I'll leave a little pop-up on screen of a video where I talk about this. But again, I think it's a really cool concept, and as a modernized variation, the design I think still holds up really good. People look at this shoe and think, hey, this looks cool, and that's pretty amazing considering that this is essentially a 15-year-old design. Now, internally, you're gonna find that it does have a pretty standard synthetic leather liner. Nothing too crazy about that. They did maintain a low cut, so it does have a very standardized design. It reminds me a lot of what you'll find from the Copa 17.1, which is understandable because the sprint frame and sole plate that they've used here, which does include the heel counter, kind of like what you would find on a Predator Mania. That was lacking from the 2014 remake. It's the exact same sprint frame and stud pattern that's taken from the Ace 17 and the Copa 17.1 models. So nothing that's specific to this particular shoe. Of course, you do have the FG-AG stud pattern there as well. Not quite the bladed studs that we got on the Predator Mania, which I'm a really, really big fan of. But again, it does result in a shoe that actually does fit and feel pretty good. Obviously a lot more modern than an original Predator Mania, but still very good nonetheless. The insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. And it's pretty much just the standard insole you would find from Adidas. It says the Predator branding right there, the Predator name on the heel, mesh liner on top, some perforations through the front, 2/3 of the insole, just a single layer of the black foam. Nothing too crazy, the standard insole setup you would find from an Adidas boot. And again, as a package, I think the performance characteristics, the feel of the shoe, the fit of the shoe, they're really, really nice. If this was a standalone boot silo from the Adidas brand, these would be my personal favorite. So I am a big fan of these, and I hope that we get more as a general release variation as opposed to just the really limited stuff like they did with this champagne pack. The only other thing worth mentioning is the weight of the shoe. In a size 9 US, These guys weigh in at 7.4 ounces, which is actually very, very lightweight. And again, in comparison to original Predator Mania, in the same size, they would weigh in at around 10 and a half ounces or so. So these are significantly lighter than what the original would be. And the reasoning for that is one, the synthetic upper, and two, the fact that it does have a sprint frame construction for the sole plate, which sheds a lot of weight over the two-piece design that you would find on the regular Predator Mania. So as a package, really, really happy with these. That's enough about tech specs though. Let's take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So you can see on the right boot, I actually swapped out the black laces for some red reflective SR4U replacement laces, just because I thought it looked pretty cool. Normally when they do a different color for the tongue versus the rest of the upper, I always think it looks a little bit better if the laces match the tongue as a solid color or as a pattern. So I thought the red reflective looks pretty cool. If you guys are interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check it out. As you can see, the tongue is fully leather, which is really nice. It's actually a very good quality leather as well. I believe it's kangaroo leather. I couldn't say 100% for sure. It wasn't really specified in the press release, but they feel really nice through the middle. And of course, it is not a one-piece design. It's a standard tongue setup for the actual shoe. So just gonna tie these up really quickly. And obviously with the tongue, the Predator tongue, everyone has their own opinion on how it's supposed to be worn. Everyone has their own preference with this kind of thing. There's even ways to wear it where the tongue isn't even showing at all, which I never did that when I did have a pair of these, and I did actually have Predator Manias as a kid when I did have them in this exact colorway. I wish I still had them. Unfortunately, I don't, but this is how I would normally wear the tongue, just kind of strapping it a little bit further forward. Some people would strap it towards the midfoot where the tongue would ride a little bit higher, but I personally prefer when it sits a little bit lower. And as far as the reasoning for the tongue being there, the idea is that it covers up the laces, but is that really offering any kind of performance benefit? Is it really offering a cleaner strike? I would argue that it doesn't. It's just extra bulk, if anything, which is why we don't really see fold over flap tongues anymore. But from an aesthetic standpoint, the way that it changes the look of the shoe, I definitely like it. So again, some people would wear them like this, which is kind of how I would like to wear them, just so the tongue sits a little bit further forward. But some people as well would wear the strap all the way here, so the tongue sits a little bit higher. Again, it's a matter of personal preference, but the way Beckham did it, and I think the way a lot of people did it, was wearing it further forward like this. I think that looks the best. And here is the shoes on feet. Again, from a distance, you would probably be tricked into thinking that these are real Predator Manias and not a remake. I mean, technically they are real Predator Manias. It's an Adidas product after all, not a knockoff or something, but definitely from a distance, you would not be able to tell if these were new or old. But obviously up close you would be able to tell. Nonetheless, they feel really, really good. I would say from a comfort and fit standpoint, these feel significantly wider than pretty much anything Adidas has on offer right now. And that's partially due to the fact that these aren't really a one-piece construction and there's no internal wrapping system either. Nonetheless, I really like how they're cut. They fit really, really nice. You got kind of more of an open fit through the midfoot. It's not overly tight, and that's because of this tongue design. It just leaves for more of an open feel, just because you're gonna have more space right here because of how the tongue folds over. Nonetheless, it still feels good. My heel's not slipping around or anything like that. And the overall shape of the shoe, I think, is really, really nice. I'm a big fan of how these fit and feel. Comfort is great out of the box. Nothing feels weird about them at all. As far as width is concerned, again, they have some decent width to them, so I think these will fit just about anybody, and you can expect some stretch out of this material just based on it softening up as you wear it in a little bit. And as far as sizing is concerned, I went with my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to get a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So guys, that is it for my review of the Remake Champagne Pack Adidas Predator Mania. Very cool limited edition release. I hope to see more of this kind of stuff from Adidas in the very near future. Essentially the same shoe in different colorways as a general release, so more people can get their hands on them, because again, I think they really are that good. If this was a standalone silo, I think I would prefer them over anything else from Adidas on offer at the moment. With that all said, If you guys have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.